So in today's class, which is class 3 of answer writing, how to write excellent answers, how to write brilliant answers, I'm going to focus on some basics. I'm going to focus on some basics such as time management. I'm going to focus on what kind of pen you can use. These are very basic things, and I'm sure you can figure out yourself also. I'm going to focus on the word limit and how to manage that word limit. I'm going to focus on handwriting and what steps you can take to improve your handwriting if it's already not decent, and what is the importance of handwriting. Then I'm going to discuss whether you get extra sheets or not, what are the kind of space that you get to write your answers. And number 5, I'm going to discuss the structure of the answers, what kind of structure the answer should follow. And then after that, I'm going to write some model answers. Okay, I'm going to write one or two model answers within the time limit provided, so that you can get an idea of how I write the answers. So this will give you a good example of how you can think about, like मेरे दिमाग में क्या चल रहा होता है, what am I thinking about, what kind of brainstorming I'm doing when I'm looking at a question paper. So as far as time management is concerned, you have 3 hours of time, which is 180 minutes. Okay, you have 20 questions. Okay, and out of those 20 questions, some questions are 15 markers and some questions are 10 markers. Okay, and these 10 marker questions are approximately, you have to write in 150 words, and these 15 markers you have to write in up to 250 words. So what does that mean? That means simply that we have 6 to 8 minutes for every 10 mark question, and we have approximately 10 to 12 minutes for every 15 mark question. Okay, because if you do your math about number of questions that are coming, 10 marker, there are these 10 marker questions and these 15 marker questions, you have approximately this much time. Normally what happens, the question paper is of 250 marks total. Out of that you get 10 questions of 10 marks each, so you get 100 marks for that, and then you get 10 questions of 15 marks each and you will get 150 total marks. So this will make up for 250 marks. Okay? So accordingly you have 10 questions that you have to write in 150 words, and if you give, let's say, 7 minutes average, so I'm saying 6 to 8 minutes, so if you're writing 150 words, you have approximately 20 words per minute you have to write. So that is how I have kind of figured out this, and this is what I followed in the exam. Okay, and this, then you have 10 questions which are again 250 words. For this you get 10 to 12 minutes. Again same thing, right? Because if you take 12 minutes, then you have to write 20 words per minute here. Okay, so basically the whole time management can be done by thinking this. ऐसा सोचना है आपको. This is what you have to think. 10 markers, I have 7 minutes on average, plus minus 1-2 minutes, sometimes 3 minutes, and 15 markers, I have approximately time 10 to 12 minutes. Okay, ये सोच के if you think this and accordingly plan your time watch, accordingly practice, then you will be good to go. There will not be any problem at all. So this is the time management part. Okay, so 10 markers we will do in 7 minutes. 15 markers we will do in 12 minutes or 11 minutes each. Okay, even then after that you will have some time left. This is how you manage your time, and this is how you manage your writing speed. Writing speed भी आपका उतना होना चाहिए कि you are able to think and write 20 words a minute, 20 words per minute. अब of course per minute आप calculate मत करना. You write each answer and see how much time you are taking, and that will help you to figure out your time management is okay or not. Okay, this is the basic formula you should follow per question. Okay, second, let's go to the pen. See, the pen I am using is, this is a gel pen. This is a Reynolds Trimax pen. This is a nice pen. You can use Reynolds Trimax, or you can also use this other Uniball pen that comes in market. 0.5 mm is the good one. This is also 0.5 mm. और if you want to use 0.75 mm, that is also good. So this pen, see, pen का figure out करना बहुत बड़ी बात नहीं है. Try to have a waterproof. Uniball is waterproof. ₹50 you get one pen, and this you get I think ₹30 one pen. So this is the kind of pen. So practice with the pen that you are using, because that will help you to have a consistent speed when you are writing. Word limit. The third basic thing we wanted to discuss was word limit. Word limit, like I already said, stick to the word limit that the question is asking unless you have really good content. So what will happen in the real exam is, out of the 20 questions, you will probably know 10 questions really well. Okay, 10 questions really well. You will know 2 to 3 questions moderately well. You will know another 2-3 questions okay, not moderately well, little bit down from there. And you will know around, there will be 5 questions that will be sort of weak or not very good. At least 5 questions will be like that, in which your information is okay. So you have to maximize your marks in these 10 questions. So here you can write a little bit more. So if the word limit is 150 words, you can go up to 175 max. If the word limit is 200, if it is a 10 marker, you can go to 175 words. If it is a 20 marker, 250 words, you can go up to maximum 275 to 300 words. Okay. So इसमें आपका time थोड़ा ज़्यादा लग जाएगा, but that's okay. That I will tell you how to manage your time with a stopwatch. So this is the rough word limit, but stick to the 250 word limit that is given in the paper, and that is doable if you follow this time management technique that I have told you. If you follow this, it will be easy. Okay. Now let us come to the next point, which is handwriting. Handwriting should be decent. It should be legible. पढ़ना आना चाहिए बस, उससे ज़्यादा कुछ नहीं चाहिए. If it is too beautiful, that is great. If it is too bad, too poor, not legible, then only you need to practice. So to do that, you do a little bit of cursive writing. There are these cursive writing books that come for class 3rd, 4th. I know it sounds very basic, but you have to do them. So if it is not legible, you can go to cursive writing books, improve your writing, write slow. Don't use a ball pen. Don't use a ball pen. Strict no. इससे writing खराब होती है. Writing deteriorates. Writing deteriorates because of ball pen. So don't use a ball pen. Use either a pencil. Pencil is very good for writing practice, or use a gel pen without the ball mechanism that is there. Okay. So that is my kind of 2 cents on handwriting. More than this, you can find some YouTube channels where you can study how to improve your handwriting. Now extra sheets, there are no extra sheets. There are no extra sheets for UPSC. UPSC paper will come simply, there will be one paper, and then you will be required to do your entire preparation in that one, you are required to produce all your answers in one paper. It will be basically a stapled kind of a sheet. It will be like this. It will be stapled, and inside there will be question sheet like this, and apart from the question sheet there will be sheets with the question. So question number 1 will be written here, and that question, let's say this is the sheet. So like this, question number 1 will be there on top. Okay, let's say this is the question number 1, like this, and then you will have the space. There will be 2 kind of lines like this, and between this space you have to write. Okay, under this space, and you will get 3-4 pages, enough pages. Even if you have really big handwriting, there are enough pages to write the 150 words. They give you a lot of space, so space is never a problem. All right, so that is about handwriting and about extra sheets. So I think this is pretty much, we have covered all the main aspects that we were going to discuss as far as the basics of our answer writing are concerned. These are the very basics. Apart from this, if you have any other questions, then you can ask me. Okay, now let us go to the structure of answer writing. See, the structure is generally very simple: intro, conclusion, and body. Okay, intro is where you introduce the topic by providing either the definition of what has been asked, or by explaining the concept that had been asked in the main paper, in the question. Okay, then in the body you give various points, or in further elaborating over the question, whatever the question is asked, you will elaborate in the points. And then conclusion is Either you provide summary of the entire answer that you have provided above, or you provide a way forward. Okay. So conclusion's job is to summarize effectively and or to provide a way forward. Okay, this is the structure of the normal answer writing question: intro, body, conclusion. Now, what important thing I'm going to tell you is, you don't need to follow this particular format in every question. In some questions definitely, in other questions you don't have to follow. So let us see a few questions through which I will tell you where you can put this particular structure and where you don't need to put this structure, and that way we will do little bit of practice of answer writing as well. Okay, so I am going to pick up paper 2. I am going to remove this sheet. Okay, I am going to pick up general studies paper 2 to help you to kind of decode this. Right now, whenever you are doing answer writing, you should have a sharpener, you should have an eraser, you should have a pencil, you should of course have a pen, and you should have a stopwatch to do some practice, so that you can time that one answer, how much time you are taking to answer. Okay, this is general studies paper 2, CS main exam 2020. So just this year paper, last year paper only. And in this I am going to pick up the hardest question. सबसे हार्ड क्वेश्चन जो है इसमें मैं वो लेता हूँ, आपके सामने निकालता हूँ, इसको यहाँ रख लेते हैं क्योंकि मैंने इतना प्रिपरेशन नहीं करा इसके लिए. सो ओके, सो दिस इज व्हाट वी हैव. ओके, आई होप यू कैन सी दिस in the yeah, all right, so here you go. This is what I have for you. This is the question: once a speaker, always a speaker, exclamation mark. This is a statement. Do you think this practice should be adopted to impart objectivity to the office of Speaker of Lok Sabha? What could be its implications for the robust functioning of parliamentary business in India? So like I was saying, let us first, I will write this answer and I will explain to you. So जब मैं आंसर लिखने की कोशिश करता हूँ, मैं फटाफट पढ़ूंगा इसको. सबसे पहले मेरा पढ़ने का होता है. ओके, सेंटेंस बना दिया, वंस ए स्पीकर ऑलवेज स्पीकर. व्हाट डज दिस मीन? इन माय ब्रेन इट इज गोइंग ऑन, दिस इज माय ब्रेनस्टॉर्मिंग गोइंग ऑन, कि वंस समवन हैज बिकम ए स्पीकर ऑफ द लोक सभा, then that person should always stay the speaker of the Lok Sabha. He or she should not be kind of involved in other kind of politics or other kind of things. Do you think this practice should be adopted to impart object? Do you think this practice, whether this practice of one speaker always remaining a speaker, अच्छा time भी लगा देता हूँ यार, so थोड़ा सा you will get an understanding. So I have put the time also, it has started. This is a 10 marker, so 150 words. Okay, do you think this practice should be adopted to impart objectivity to the office of Speaker of Lok Sabha? So do I think this practice is good for improving objectivity or for helping the Lok Sabha speaker become more objective? What is the meaning of objective? Objective means that they are not biased. They are taking decisions on the basis of facts, on the basis of rules and procedures. Okay, and what could be its implications for the robust functioning of parliamentary business in India? What are the implications of a speaker always staying a speaker? Okay, so first of all, of course, in this, the first thing is I have to explain this statement. In this question, the introduction should be there. Okay, so मैं आंसर लिखूंगा इसका. तो मेरे दिमाग में जो आया है, that I'm going to start to write. So this is the answer, number 1. Convention and practice. So keep noticing what are techniques that I am using when I am answering this question. first part of the question is answered. The second part is what could be the implications on robust functioning of the parliament. So implications on robust functioning of parliament. So I've gone over the time limit by around 1 minute or so, but that's okay because I knew a lot of content, good content in this question. And if I'm coming up with a third point, it is coming to my mind that speaker could mediate and resolve various constitutional questions between ruling and opposition party. All right. So here definitely I have gone over the time limit. It has taken me 9 minutes 32 seconds. That is a lot. But of course, because I'm not in practice, generally you should not be taking more than 7 to 8 minutes in this kind of question. But it's okay. Sometimes you know a question well, so you are able to give it more time, because if you don't know a question at all or if you don't know it well, then there your time will be saved. Okay. So in this question, now I've written the question in front of you. It has taken me almost 9 minutes to write this question. Now I will show you exactly how this is a good answer, I feel, because it goes through various points and it basically follows the things that we talked about what are the good characteristics of an answer. Conceptual clarity, that is, in the first class I told you these things, that conceptual clarity, addressing all aspects of the question, relevant data, reports or studies to support the question, not speculative but informative, don't provide opinion but information, and that it should be to the point, and introduction or conclusion might not be required. This is what makes for a good answer. So these are the things that we are going to see whether we have followed these things in this answer. So first of all, you have to understand the question. If you have not finished the syllabus, if you do not know even about this particular practice, if you have not read about this practice, if you do not understand what is the speaker's role, in polity, speaker's role is very important to study. So if you do not know, then how will you answer this question? Okay, so first of all, your conceptual clarity should be there. You should know exactly what you have to answer, and you should have a good hold over that particular topic. Okay, then only you can follow what I am doing today. Then after that, first of all, I have written a very short introduction. Here you see the introduction, and have you noticed I have written it in short paragraphs. These 1 or 2 line paragraphs, this is what I call paragraphs. For UPSC purposes, your paragraphs have to be very short. So here we have the short paragraphs. The first is, in the UK, the continuity of speaker is guaranteed by convention and practice. And so basically what I'm doing is I'm justifying, or I'm trying to explain or define the first opening statement here: once a speaker, always speaker. So where has this come from? This has come from the UK. This practice of once a speaker, always a speaker comes from UK, where continuity of speaker is guaranteed by convention. Opposition parties do not field candidate against standing speaker. So whenever the speaker is standing for elections, no party will field any kind of person against them. And also, speaker gives up the membership of their party when they become a speaker. So if an MP becomes a speaker, they give up the membership of that party. So this is how the UK practice is. So how does this practice impart objectivity? See, that is the question. Do you think this practice should be adopted to impart objectivity to the office of speaker? तो वो कैसे impart करती है objectivity? How does it lead to objectivity in the Lok Sabha? That is what we are going to talk about. This practice imparts objectivity in the following ways to speaker. So I have boxed this, you see, so that the examiner is very easily following what I am writing, my logic, my train of thought. Number one, maintenance of utmost neutrality. Neutrality of the presiding officer in the house is maintained. Okay. Number two, unbiased facilitation of the house to enable fruitful debates. Various debates in the house can be facilitated. Avoid disruptions in the house. So for that also I have explained that by further kind of just arrowing it and explaining that point. And finally, the speaker is not dependent on his or her re-election on the party. Okay. So therefore not susceptible to political pressures and pulls. और उसका मैंने example दिया है, passage of bills by voice vote was a cause of concern. So this is what the question is based on. This current affair, this voice vote had come up in the news, and because of that they asked this question, and you have given the example also of that. So hence I provided a short kind of a point here. So hence it is clear that this practice has advantages over the current system. Now we are going to discuss the second part of the question, which is what could be the implication of this on robust functioning of parliamentary business. So how does this particular practice help the parliamentary business, help the conduct of parliamentary business in the country? So implications on robust functioning of the parliament. I have written that simply directly copied from the question. I have boxed it, and then I am going to follow it with the various points that I am going to justify how it will help the parliamentary business in India. So first, create a positive perception and practice of parliamentary functioning. So first, create a positive perception in the mind of the public, in the mind of the bureaucrats, in the mind of everyone who is looking at the functioning of the parliament. And secondly, in India, speaker is ex officio chairman of many important committees. So since he or she is the ex officio chairman of many committees, those committees will function better if the speaker is of independent nature. That is what is one point that can be thought of, and this is an important point because this is a directly related to parliamentary business. Okay, directly related to parliamentary business in India. Then the third point is speaker could mediate and resolve various constitutional questions between ruling and opposition party, because that is the job of the speaker, right, to resolve various points about rules, procedures, about the constitutional questions of the parliament. Okay, and finally my simple conclusion is this practice holds various positive implications and could potentially further parliamentary functioning in India. This is my conclusion. No, I am not providing any way forward here because it's not required. Okay, here you are just analyzing a current practice and you are going to provide a simple kind of summary of the entire thing. I have already, of course, because I did not have time, I was providing so many points, so I had limited time. This is not going to impact your marks in such way. They don't have marks for different sections like that. As long as you are covering all the points, as long as you are writing a question or an answer that has conceptual clarity, that shows that you understand the concept. You address various parts of the question, which I have done here. I am addressing both the parts of the question that were asked, about the robust functioning implications and objectivity. I am answering both the parts. Here there is not much relevant data that needs to be provided, but I have given still an example here. Only one example is enough in this case. It's not speculative at all. I'm not providing any opinion. I'm just providing information that is already there. It is to the point. Intro, conclusion. Yes, there is intro, conclusion, but it is not that extensive. It is to the point what the question is asking, and this is what you need to do to write a good answer. So this is my another class. In the next class, I will give you more kind of details about more practice of answer writing. I will give you further details on how to write better answers. I will discuss some topics with you. Let us go ahead and revise the basics of answer writing from the first class that we had. In this first class, I talked about a few things which I will quickly cover. Number one is conceptual clarity. Number two is addressing all aspects of the question. Number three is relevant data, reports, studies, examples. So this is the sheet from the last answer that I have. So this is the kind of a summary, quick summary of the last class, in which I talked about what makes an answer good. Okay, what makes an answer a good answer, you know. Good answer क्या होता है? What are the characteristics of a good answer? And these are the 5 things that I think you should focus on when you are writing answers. Number 1 is that your conceptual clarity should be seen through that answer. Number 2, it should address all the aspects of the question. Number 3, it should have relevant data, reports, studies, examples which support the various points of the answer. Number 4, it should not be speculative but informative. Opinion नहीं होनी चाहिए, information होनी चाहिए answer में. Okay, there should be no opinion but information in the answer. And number 5, that it should be to the point. And intro and conclusion sometimes are not needed if the question is such. Sometimes, not always, but sometimes intro and conclusion are not needed, especially in GS3 paper, where you can directly go to the points of the question. So these are the various points that I provided, and these are from the first class that you should always keep in mind when you are preparing for answer writing.